Hello, my math monkeys. Welcome back. Today we are going to review, it's the second part to the one where we talked about turning mixed numbers to decimals, where I actually explained each area of the mixed number and each area of the decimal sneaky snake chart and why we read those standard decimal form numbers in that manner. If you've not watched that first, you need to watch that first, so that this will make more sense. Today we're just going to do real quick, we're going to take a mixed number, we're going to change it to the standard decimal form, and then change it to the word form so that you can see a mixed number written in the three different ways. So first we're going to start this way. Okay, first let's see, we're going to start with a mixed number. A mixed number again is a number that has both a whole and a fraction. So we're going to start with, let's start with 2/3. Sorry, 2 and 2 out of 10. If you notice, my bottom box is still pink. We're just going to start with mixed numbers that have a fraction that has a denominator of 10. So now we're going to take our mixed number and we're going to put it into a standard form or decimal form. So I see that I have a 2 as a whole number, which goes in the whole number column. Now we read this fraction as 2/10. So if we've already put the mixed number in there. I just covered this up for just a moment so that we could take a look at 2/10. 2/10 by itself. So this is 2 out of 10. Well, if 10, if it's the last thing we hear, that's the last name. So 2/10 means we're going to look in this column because this is the tenths column. We're not going to work in the hundredths column. That was not the last name that we said here. We said 2/10. So we're going to take 2 and we're going to write it in the tenths column because its last name is tenths. Now I'll bring back the whole number so you can see your mixed number again. We're going to read it as 2 and 2/10. 2 and 2/10. Remember the decimal says and. Now we're going to come down here to the word form box and we're going to write it in words. We're going to put the whole number here and then the fractional part here. I've left and here because anytime you see a decimal in the word form, it will say and. So whenever you're reading a number that's written in word form and it has the word and in the middle, that means we're talking about a decimal or a fraction, not a regular standard place value number such as 345. We don't say 345. If you use the word and, that means we're talking about a mixed number, which looks like this, or a fraction. We're not talking about standard everyday numbers with place value that follows to the left of the decimal. So here we go. We're going to go to word form. Since our whole number is 2, then we write the word 2. Now we're going to go to our fraction, 2/10. Well, tenths is already written for us, but we're still going to write it because you're not always going to have a sneaky snake chart to help you. When it comes to writing a mixed number in word form, you are going to have to write the last name just as well. So I put it there as a reminder to help us, but we're really going to write tenths also. So now we have the fractional part of the mixed number written in words. So we have, let's start at the beginning with the mixed number. We have 2 and 2/10, 2 and 2/10, 2 and 2/10. So now that's how we wrote that mixed number in 3 different ways. If you see it in any way, you can transform it to another way. If you see it as 2 and 2/10, if you understand that the word and is a decimal and that the word before the word and is a whole number. So we could go and write 2 and 2/10. Now this next one that we're going to try, I'm going to actually start with the word form and transfer it into decimal and then back into mixed number. Okay, so here we have a word form, 6 and 8/10. Now I see that the word and is here. And the word and tells me I'm going to have a decimal or a fraction. So I'm going to go ahead and do the decimal form or the standard form first. So I'm going to look here at the whole. I have a 6. It's in front of my decimal. It's in front of the word and. So and means it's in front of the decimal. So we're going to write a 6 in front of the decimal. Now I put a check mark so that tells me I've already taken care of that number. I've already written it down as a decimal. Now how would I write that as a mixed number? Well, I see the 6 is a whole, so I'm going to go ahead and take the number 6 and put it in as the whole number in my mixed number. So I've taken care of the mixed number. Now let's look at the fractional part, 8 tenths. Well, I see that 8 tenths comes after the word and that the last name is tenths, which means it's going to go in the tenths place. So I'm going to write the number 8 in the tenths place. Now, I see that tenths is the last name, and the last name tells us what the denominator is going to be. So the denominator is going to be 10. And this tells us what is going to be the numerator, which is 8. So now that I've done the whole, I checked it off, and I've also done the fractional part. I've checked it off. I've wrote the whole number on the whole side of my decimal sneaky snake chart and a whole number in the whole number box of my mixed number. And I also wrote the fractional part underneath the last name and as a decimal. This is 3 ways to write 6 and 8 tenths. Now I'm going to try, we're going to move towards writing it as hundredths. Okay, now I have turned this into 2 boxes up top, because if you look at your sneaky snake chart or your decimal form chart, you'll see that when we're dealing with numbers that have a denominator of 100, there's going to be 2 digits in the top number. So here we go. We know that the bottom is 100, so let's start with our mixed number just like we did earlier. So let's say we're going to say 7. We know our denominator is 100. That's what we're going to use right now. And let's say that we have 17 out of 100. So our mixed number would read 7 and 17 hundredths. Now we're going to take that and we're going to move it to standard decimal form. We know that the word and means we're using a decimal, and that anything before the word and is our whole number. So we say 7 and. Well, I hear the word and, so then I know that 7 is our whole number. Anything to the right of the decimal, just like the song, is a fractional part. So it goes behind the decimal, anything after the word and. So here we go. 7 and, so we know what comes next goes after the decimal. 1700. Well, I hear that hundredths is the last name. So the last digit, which is 7, is going to be in the hundredths place. And I'm just going to put the 1 there. Now I'm going to take this number and I'm going to write it in word form. Again, 7 and 17 hundredths. I'm going to put it in word form. I've already put the word and because the decimal's name is and. We're going to start with a whole number, which is before the decimal, before the word and, is a 7. So I'm going to write 7 in this box. And there's the word 7. Now I'm going to look at 17. Now here's the problem. In our sneaky snake box, we see the word tenths. Well, we're not going to write 1 in the tenths box, because if we did, it would be 7 and 1 tenths. So we're going to cross out the tenths place, or we're going to hide it so that we don't see it. So for this moment, we have covered up the word tenths. We're not going to use the box. We're going to write it here. This place is not here anymore. We can't write a word in this column because then it will be called tenths because that's the last name. We have to look at the last digit of the number. So it goes here. We're going to write 17 hundredths here. Okay, now that those, even though they're spread apart, they're said the same way. 7 and 17 hundredths. These all 3 match. They're all the same number. They share the same value. They're equivalent to each other. We're just looking at them in a different way with mixed numbers, standard form, and word form. We'll do one more, and then we're going to call it a night on this one. And we'll meet back here, and we'll talk about how we can order fractions and compare and order decimals. But this time I'm going to start with a decimal form instead of last time we started with the word form. and this time we started with a mixed number. Now we're going to start from a decimal and transfer it to a mixed number and then to a word form. Okay, I chose a number that generally gets us stuck, that we have problems with. I chose 5 and 4 hundredths. This 0 is a seat saver. We don't say 0 tenths, 4 hundredths. We put them all together and end at the end. 5 and 4 hundredths. Now let's take that and go ahead and put it in word form. And we're going to start here. We have 5. Well, that's before our decimal. And anything before the decimal or before the word and or the big number in the mixed number is a whole number. So we have the whole number 5. So we're going to write the word 5 right here. And there we go. Now we're going to write the fractional part, which is 4 hundredths. Again, we're not using the tenths. The tenths is hidden. It's a seat saver spot. We don't say tenths when we're working with numbers or digits that fall in the hundredths place. So here we go. We're going to write it in this box, 4 hundredths, just as we see it here. Okay, so now we have 5 and 4 hundredths, 5 and 4 hundredths. Now let's take both of these and we're going to convert them to a mixed number. Well, I see that 5 is my whole number. It's what I have all the pieces to. So I'm going to write 5 in this box because that's the whole number and a mixed number. The 5 looks larger. It's like I would rather have a whole piece of candy bar than I would rather have a whole candy bar than a couple of tiny pieces. So the whole is the biggest number. Now we're going to take 4 hundredths. Well, it's a single digit number. I can't put it here because that is a spot for the tenths. So this is not going to work. So I got rid of that and I'm actually going to put the 4 here because I see that there's a seat saver. Now when I'm converting standard form to a mixed number, when you first start doing this, it's okay to use the 0 until we get used to this. And then we'll start leaving the 0 out because remember the 0 is a seat saver. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 0 here just to help me out and the 4. But I want you to understand that it really is not written 5 and 0 4 out of 100. It's really written like this. That's 4 hundredths. So 5 and 4 hundredths is equivalent to 5 and 4 hundredths. Also equivalent to 5 and 4 hundredths. Well, I appreciate stopping in today and I hope this was helpful. We will see you again real soon and we'll talk about comparing and ordering decimals and then later ordering fractions. Have a great evening and I'll see you then.